Hi cuties! So, we're gonna talk about books today. We're gonna talk about books today. We're gonna talk about books today. Today's talking about books. I don't know what that was, but we're gonna talk about all the books that I read in February. In total in February, I read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 books. So not as much as I normally do. No, close. But I did have a lot of physical reads to get through this last one. And I also am not focusing on reading books because I should be focusing on editing my books. And also work. Not bad. I did knock off some more from my 2021 reads that I wanted to get through, and I completed the TBR again, so that's 2 for 2. Can I do it in March? Probably not, because I literally have one audiobook in that TBR. I'm fine. Everything is fine. It's totally fine. Not stressing out about it. Anyway, let's just get into it. We'll get into the books that I read. I don't even have my thing for stats of how many pages on audio that I read. What's funny though is that I said one of the books was going to be an audiobook. Turns out it wasn't, but one of the books I didn't think was an audiobook was. So I think I had 3 on the actual TBR that were audiobooks, and the rest were all physical reads, and then I included a few extra audiobooks as well. So without further babbling, let's get into it. The very first book that I read was The Smell of Other People's Houses by Bonnie Sue Hitchcock. I almost forgot. I knew it was a Bonnie Sue Hitchcock. So this is a very short read. Even though it's a short read and it was an audiobook, this took me a while to get through. It's not really my cup of tea. It is more like, I don't know, what would I say this is? This is more like cranberry juice. I don't prefer it, but I know a lot of people do like it and probably is good for your health. But this is a very poignant story with these a few different narratives that all kind of intertwine in the end. They're very short narratives, and it was just interesting to see how they all kind of interlocked. All the teens are kind of suffering and struggling in some way. There's a teen pregnancy, there's some runaways, there's a girl who's scared to talk to her dad, there's all these different kind of stories playing together, and I thought it was a beautiful story. It was poignant. It's just not my kind of story, but I don't regret reading it. So if you're into more of the realistic literary fiction genre, you'll probably like this book. Again, it's very short, very easy to get through. I guess you could also consider this historical fiction because it's set 60s? 70s? I forget when it's set. It's not like so far back, but it is not present day, but I think it's the 60s, I want to say. But it's not like you're gonna get the era of, what, Go-Go's and stuff like that, or was that 70s? I don't know time. But this is set in Alaska, so it's like the rural part of Alaska back then, so a little bit different. It was an interesting read, but not like something I would devour because not my genre, but not bad. Not bad either. I don't really have complaints about it. It's just not my thing. But it might be other people's things. Next up is my thing. And it's a Marissa Meyer book. And we're reading Wires and Nerve, which is a continuation of the Lunar Chronicles, but it is une graphic novel. And I liked this. I actually wasn't a huge fan of the art style. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just, it downplays what I think the characters look like, especially Wolf, and the other wolf soldiers. It was just like different than how I would imagined it. I can't describe art because I don't know anything about art. I didn't hate it, but it's just not the type of art style that would have me like staring at the page for hours, kind of a thing. But I definitely enjoyed that we getting Aiko's story more so now, and I really wanted to get through the sequel as well because I do own the sequel, but I didn't get to it because I had to get through all these babies. So maybe in the coming months we'll get to the sequel of this, but I like it. If you like the Lunar Chronicles, you'll definitely like this because it's a fun continuation of everyone's story, although if you read Stars Above and the final epilogue-y thing of it, not entirely fits with the canon of what happened in Stars Above. So Yeah. So just pretend that the Stars Above story, the last story in Stars Above, didn't happen. And then, or you can consider this before that, but it also kind of contradicts some of the things there. So, there. Next up was an audiobook that I read. Don't Read the Comments by Eric Smith. I love this. Okay, this book deserves the hype that it got. I was a little nervous about it, but it is about gaming culture and specifically like streaming gaming culture, because she is a super popular streamer. He is not. He like builds his own computer and stuff, but they meet in game and become friends that way and become a little bit more. But she's going through a lot of like cyberbullying that turns into real life stalking and stuff. So it's very poignant about how our lives are on the internet versus in real life, and the connections that we're making there, and the caution that there has to be. And, you know, his character really spoke to me because he was a very, I'm gonna fix this stuff, I'm gonna come over and do this, but it's like, wait, we don't actually know each other in real life, I'm coming off strong kind of thing, when that's not what she needs. And so they kind of build this really cute relationship together during all this very traumatizing things. And it was just, I can't even describe it as well as this is, because apparently I suck at describing books. I just like reading about them. Reading them. See what I mean? The brain not turned on today. Apparently it is still trying to. It needs, can we refresh? Can we control R the brain? Please. Thank you. I thought it was a very good, timely story with Twitch culture and stuff like that right now. So very good. Speaking of Twitch, I'm on Twitch now. Twitch.com/QWERTYQ. Next up was the book that I thought was an audiobook, and it is not, so I did physically read it, but that is The Princess and the Fangirl by Ashley Poston. And here's the thing. Okay, I did like this in the end. It took me a long time to like either of these characters. This is a Prince and the Pauper retelling, which the story itself, like when you think about the implications of it in real life, both of these characters suck. Because it is so rude to the people around them, especially because our main character here, Imogen, one of the main characters, Imogen, looks like Jessica Stone, who is the lead actress in the Gigarella universe, where they're making these sci-fi movies, and she is the lead who plays Amara, who dies in the first film. But there's speculation if she's coming back and all that jazz, and she doesn't want to because she's not into this at all. She just wants this on the road to, like, you know, Oscars and things like that. They switch roles so that she can investigate a lost script, because she had the script for the second book and she threw it in the trash, and now somebody's leaking it, so she's trying to find out who did it before she gets caught as the one who probably leaked it on accident. And Imogen wants to save Amara, wants to save the character, and so she's like, well fine, I'll be Jessica Stone and I'm gonna make Amara come back, kind of thing. But problem is, she has a friend, an internet friend that she's going to meet for the very first time, who is an artist in Artist Row kind of thing, Artist Alley, and she lets Jessica Stone be her for that meeting. And I'm like, that is so mean. To have somebody be a fake you for your first meeting ever. I was so mad about that the whole time. I was like baffled that you wouldn't even like give her a heads up or something. Even though she agreed to like not tell anyone. I'm just like, I'm sorry, your entire family is there, and this new person who you consider to be one of your best friends that you've never met in real life. And you're gonna let some stranger be you? Selfish. And I hated that, and it just made me not like the characters as much. They grow, obviously. They have to start from a really flawed point in order to grow, but boy, it took me a long time to like either of them. So, know that. Geekarella was still better. I really do want to go on to the third one, which is Bookish and the Beast, but, oh, this one made me grit my teeth a hell of a lot. Next up was a book I related to so much, and it was the book that I didn't realize I had as an audiobook on my Hoopla app. That is Life on the Leash by Victoria Shade, and this is about a dog trainer. Hi, for those of you new, I am a dog trainer. It's not my main job, but it's one of my jobs. This is my theory about how this book became made. This was a book written by a dog trainer who wanted to make a dog training book, but wanted it to sell. So they turned it into a contemporary romance because so much of this book is literal dog training tips and like but in the narrative. So she's showing all these methods that I use in my dog training. So I'm like, vindication! And like the kind of bad guy is this Boris, whatever his name is. He's kind of like Caesar Milan, who I despise for his methods on dog training. So it's like, I felt so seen as a dog trainer. Like the romance part of this is like really on the back burner. That's not the reason I liked this book. I wasn't really into the romance, and I kind of wanted, if I was going to be into the romance, I would have liked a lot more with the guy that she actually ends up with. There didn't seem to be enough of a build up to that relationship, and the other one was like obviously red flag, why are you doing this kind of thing. If you want a fun narrative but with actual dog training tips, read this book. Yeah, she's a dog trainer who has contributed to many dog-specific publications and has served as a pet expert for PetSide, Pet 360, Pet MD, and Paw Culture. Life on the Leash is her first novel. That's why I'm like, you wanted to write a dog training book that would sell. Sorry, maybe not. Maybe she just really wanted to write a rom-com kind of thing, but... Next up, we have One of Us is Next by Karen M. McManus. This is a sequel to One of Us is Lying, which I really liked. I liked it a lot, surprisingly, because it's kind of that CW teen drama, drugs, sex, all that stuff. And this doesn't feature the same characters. It has some of them, but the new main characters are like their siblings and other teens still at the school that the first one was set, and we do see them come back. Like we get Nate and Bronwyn a little bit back, and honestly they carried this book so much. I cared so much more about their story, and honestly if Maeve and them had brought them into the fold early on, none of this stuff would have happened. Still liked it. I didn't like it as much as One of Us is Lying, mostly because some of it felt a little overdone. I don't know. It was different. It was still unique in its own way, but again, this kind of mystery thriller that deals with teen drama that is not a teen life that I lived at all doesn't quite hit me the same way that other people might like it. So if you're into those kinds of things, if you're into things like, you know, Riverdale and stuff like that, you might like this a lot more than I did. I still didn't hate it. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was an interesting means of it. I really was upset with the ending reveal of who not who done it, but who was involved in the background scheme of things, and there were no repercussions for said character. That one kind of set me off the wrong way. So I don't know. It's complicated, flawed characters banding together. So if that's your thing, there you go. I mean, that is kind of one thing that I like. I like complicated and flawed characters who grow, and they do grow, but in the context of the setting, not my thing. Next up was the book that I read all in one day. That was the challenge. I did it. I will have a vlog covering that coming out this month, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this book, but it was Ace of Shades by Amanda Foody, and I liked this a lot more than I thought I would. I honestly was thinking I wasn't going to be into this. No, I'm into it. It has a lot different magic system than I thought it would have. It has a very intricate magic system and a very intricate world building and character building, and I liked this. I liked this a lot. I do want to go on to read the sequel. I don't own the sequel yet, which is King of Fools. And that, wait, is that the sequel or is that the third one? There's King of Fools and Queen of Vaults, and now I've forgotten again which one's the second one. But anyway, I'm gonna get them both. I do recommend this. This was really good if you're into the kind of gritty fantasy world kind of stuff. A lot of people are like, oh, it's Six of Crows. I'm like, there is in no way, shape, or form Six of Crows-ness to this. This is its own thing. I think just because it came out around the time of Six of Crows, and they have similar looking covers, and they both deal with like kind of a gambling thing. found family-ist kind of thing. That is the base of where they are similar. That's it. Everything else is different and unique and great, and I definitely like this a lot. More on the vlog. Next up, we have Descendant of the Crane by Joan He, and I am mad at this book. Boy, am I mad at this book. It took a long time to get into this book, but then finally I did start getting into it, and also, cover gorgeous. I am so mad because there is not a sequel. This is a standalone historical fantasy. Yeah, fantasy. It's more about like court, the, you know, imperial court drama with some fantasy elements to it. So they have sous in this one, which are basically seers, and they're illegal to seek advice from or anything. Sous are illegal, and there's a very intricate world building to this, but the author, I had to look this up, so I was like, wait, there has to be a sequel, right? Because the main character's story is left open-ended. There's no conclusion to this, and she did that on purpose. Rude! She's not currently working on a sequel or anything. She's like, maybe we'll do a companion thing or something to it, but it's not in the works at all. And I'm so mad. I'm so mad. Like, it's a really good, intricate story with how you decide who the villain is. Because, is there a villain? Or is there a villain? You know? So it's very, like, thought-provoking that way. So if you like a thought-provoking historical fantasy, this is gonna be your jam. But I'm so mad that we don't actually see how our main character's story ends up, because it's left open that way on purpose. I didn't know you were allowed to do that. There's your warning for this book. It's really good and I like it, but I'm mad at it. Next up, audiobook, I finally read The Cruel Prince by Holly Black, and I'm on the team of liking it because there's a lot of mixed reviews about these books, and there are people who just don't like it at all and people who really like it, and I really liked it, even though, again, we have severely flawed, complicated characters in the Fae realm, and I like it, and I'm kind of like, this is Hanayori Dango with fairies, isn't it? This is basically Hanadan with fairies. At least the first half of it is very Hanadan with fairies, I'm just gonna say. It made me very angry at a lot of characters, but Holly Black, there's a reason people call her the Queen of the Fae, Queen of Fairy lore and stuff, because most of her books involve fairies and things, and this is no exception to that. It is about humans who are raised in the Fae realm, and it is, it's brutal and a wild ride. And dang, I'm really excited to get to Wicked King, which I probably will be listening to this month in March, along with Queen of Nothing, because Fee is going to be really mad at me if I don't finish this series soon so she can talk about it with me. Yeah, dang, this is fun. So if you're into, again, a darker Fae life, but also if you're really into Hanayori Dango, like, you'll like this. I like anything that pulls out a Hanadan theme. Next, I finished a quadrilogy, a saga. I finally got my ears on, really, because then I had to go buy the book so that I had the complete set on my shelf, because I can't be without a complete set if it's a series that I like. But that is A Sky Beyond the Storm by Sabaa Tahir, and this is the conclusion to the Ember and the Ashes quadrilogy books, the story, and ooh, Sabaa Tahir ripped out my heart so many times with this book. Boy, why did you have to do that to my boy? Sabaa Tahir, I am coming for you. I'm so mad. I loved it. I still love the entire story of everything, and there was a bit of Deus Ex, I can't say it, Deus Ex Machina, is that how you say it? But there was a bit of that at the end that was kind of convenient, but overall, I liked this series a lot. I still think the first book is the best of them all. I definitely wasn't too into Reaper at the Gates, but that's like Torch Against the Night and Reaper at the Gates are books that are like so much everything goes wrong all the time for them, and we finally get to where things can are kind of going right, but then they go horribly wrong, and then they're okay at the end. I'm just mad. I'm so mad about the 2 specific characters that die in this, and I am so mad. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. Everything is fine, and I'm not emotionally involved in this book. I'm just really mad at Sabatier for the conclusion of the series, even though it's a really good conclusion. I'm also really mad that this is not raised text, but, you know, that's a design thing. I highly recommend reading the entirety of Ember in the Ashes. It has really good narrators because my boy Steve West is in this, as well as my girl Fiona Hardingham is in this, and I forgot who the 3rd one is. I'm so sorry, Bloodstrike. I don't remember the name, and my phone's over there. I'll put it on the screen, but I really liked her voice. She did a really good Bloodstrike. So, yeah. The last book that I read this last month, I scrambled to finish it on time, was Slayer by Kirsten White, which is a Buffyverse book. We actually pick things up right after season 7 of Buffy the Vampire Slayer has ended. Way back when. I know it's an older series now, but I love Buffy. I love Buffy so much. Very into it. This book features the Watchers side of things, what's left of the Watchers, and one of the young women in the Watchers accidentally was a potential unbeknownst to her and is now a Slayer. She's the last one that was awakened before the Seed of Wonder was destroyed and the line of the Slayers is broken, so she's one of the last ones. She also hates Buffy, and I thought that was an interesting take on this character. She's also a twin, and the twin has been kind of the protector between the 2 of them because there was once a fire, and her mother chose her twin sister Artemis, and her name is Nina, but it's really Athena, so Artemis and Athena, and her mother in the fire chose to save Artemis over her, so there is some family grudging going on heavily here, and I really liked it. It really felt like I was back in a Buffy-verse show, like I was watching it. I really enjoyed it. I'll probably pick up anything that's Buffy related because I love expanding it, but I'm very excited to read the sequel for this because there is a sequel called Chosen. I don't know if there's going to be a 3rd book. So far I haven't heard anything about it, but I am just glad that we get some novelizations in the Buffy-verse, not necessarily about Buffy herself, because I'm kind of done with Buffy, but Buffy does appear in this, sort of, so we do get that. All the nods to the show and the movie is just great, because Athena and Artemis are actually the daughters of Buffy's first Watcher before Giles, when she was in LA, so the movie. So if you haven't seen the Buffy movie, you're gonna like, what the hell? But there you go. Very interesting, very fun. I enjoyed it a lot. There you go. Those are the 11 books that I read in February. We'll see what I get done in March. I tend to struggle in March because it's March of the Indies, a March of the Indies. And I have a lot of indie books to read. And I'm reading a book that's not even on the TBR right now. But it's an indie book, so we're gonna read it anyway. Okay, cool, great, awesome. I'm gonna go away now and stop talking about books. What did you guys read in February? Put them down below. Let me know because I like learning about what other people read in the month and all that jazz. So you guys can reach me, of course, down in the comments below or on Facebook, Tumblr, Twitter. Follow me on Twitch now as well as QWERTYQ. You can check out my Ko-fi page if you want to support me as a content creator. I super appreciate it. Help me pay my editor. Woo! All right. I will see you next time, cuties. Bye. Right when I start, something in the eye. I don't know how to. Oof. I'm just gonna sit here and be mad about it.